Welcome, everyone, to a new realm in the Captain's Quadrant. Welcome to the Agony Booth, where we check out all things that are terrible in the Star Trek universe. And we're talking terrible. And we're talking the worst of the worst, the episodes that just give us agony. They burn on the inside. They peer our eyes and they pierce our skin, just how awful they really are. I am Captain Dove, and I am not alone. As always, we are Jason Squared. Starting to my bottom, just for the fun of it, Jason the Seductive Salamander, which is such a
how come
name.
you're referring to me as your bottom? What?
To my bottom, because you were like...
Oh, I'm still not enjoying the comparison.
No, let's move on.
Apparently that means something. I don't know. And of course... to my left, I believe, is the indomitable last king of Australia, Jason.
Yeah, I'm no longer affiliated with Starfleet at this point because
we're on shore leave.
This stuff that we're having to watch. I don't want to be associated with Starfleet while we're watching all this stuff. But my badge is here anyway, just as a reminder.
Yeah, I got my badge. We're on leave. We're vacationing until the release of the next big fray into Star Trek, which will be Lower Decks, I believe.
Yep.
Yes. So we're all.
I believe we are about to be joined by a fourth, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
yes.
Is that in the works?
She is on her way. She has been caught in a subspace eddy, but she will be here momentarily. She just doesn't want to risk going warp 10.
Fantastic. All right. Well, yes, this is a new show I can't wait to get into.
What's up, AJ? It is nice to see you. You have reached the law firm of Jason, and Joe. Triple J. Woo!
All right.
Have you been injured in a warp speed experiment? Were you morphed into a salamander? You may be due monetary compensation.
And gold press platinum.
Offer void in the Federation where we do not use money.
That's it. Should we get it started, Captain?
Let's go.
All
what?
Right.
So for this week, on our first episode that we are spawning off into this wondrous world of terrible Star Trek.
What an episode.
We are going into one of the bottom 12 episodes of Star Trek Voyager.
That is being extremely, charitable of you to say bottom 12.
Bottom 12. Bottom 5, maybe. This episode, Threshold, from Season 2. It is episode 16. Tom Paris attempts
15.
15. Oh, fonts.
Well, it's a good thing this font hasn't been around for, 6 decades or anything for you to learn it.
Tom's attempt to cross the time warp threshold and make a name for himself results in a rapid physical mutation.
Look at the look on Janeway's face. It's just she knows. She knows what she has put us through, and it's made her happy.
Yeah, and she doesn't get away from it clean this episode either.
No, she gets woo. All right, so let's all talk about this episode. Let's start with Jason.
Yeah, what can you say? Look, overall, yeah, this is really one of the biggest lowlights from the series, wasn't it? And at a time where they had put out some quality episodes. They weren't awful. So what is a simple concept, a good, simple core idea? I will stand by it. The idea to do an episode on Warp 10 is a great idea. But the execution is, well, we all agree, just unbelievable. But I can't wait to dip into some of that a bit more later on.
Yes. Jason, the Seductive Salamander.
This episode is catastrophically stupid. From beginning to end, watching it was like getting stabbed in the eyes with hypodermic needles that were loaded with the most virulent diseases. And as every moment ticked away, my will to live was slowly chiseled, bit by bit, until the end credits started rolling, and I had to somehow discover what my life needed to be from there on out, because Threshold literally made me not want to be me anymore. It made me want to run away into the mountains where I would never hear the term Warp 10, nacelle shear, or obviously the female ever again. I honestly believe that aside from one other, which I'm not going to say because I don't want anybody to, say, do that one next. Aside from one other, I do believe this is the second worst episode of Star Trek ever produced.
Wow.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I will go.
Cool.
I will go into more detail later, because the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
That is a high-low bar.
Mm-hmm.
That is a high.
Not only is it a low bar, you had to get a backhoe and bury the bar to reach the sheer awfulness of what this episode represents.
Oh, yeah. No.
Even the writers say it's just the worst. And they make it.
Yes, they do. They do.
Well, it's ironic that you bring that up, because the actor who plays Harry Kim has his own podcast.
Oh yes, Garrett. Garrett is such a sweetheart.
And he apparently has a fandom that kind of went at me for disliking this episode on Twitter.
You know what? Bring them. That's all I can say. Bring it.
How do they justify
I welcome your hatred.
I can't understand how you could be on the defense of this episode.
This episode was bizarre, and I feel like they just quickly scurried it away from it in the follow-up. It was like, no, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? Salamander babies? No, never happened.
What prime directive? We didn't biologically contaminate another planet's ecosphere with our demon spawn.
Oh,
that never happened.
Imagine there's a whole planet of them now. and they missed a great.
Yeah, go ahead.
They missed a golden opportunity in some of the Star Trek Beyond stuff. Maybe this Times Warp transient salamanders could have come up and been the villain for a Star Trek movie, or
oh my goodness!
Else.
Could you imagine a 6 foot tall salamander walking on its back legs with a bun in the voice of Kate Mulgrew?
Oh yeah,
you thought you'd seen The Last of Us, haven't you? Hey, there's an idea for Prodigy later.
There you go. All right, Jason, what did you think of it?
You've already asked me. It's bloody awful, but I want to talk about it more. So should we move into...
Let us move on to
why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
There's nothing there.
And that now you know why
they don't
like each other.
This is my first time seeing these transitions because I was late logging on. These are magnificent. I love them.
Oh, always stellar work by Jason.
Can't help myself.
He's the man at the helm, and that's the reason why he is number one.
I want to talk about the worst thing about this.
Go for it.
Is the fact that this episode ever made it in production is my biggest question. Well, I get it. I can imagine the scenario. They walk into the writer's room, got this idea. We need to tackle whether it's possible to go to Warp 10. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the writer in the corner pulled out a joint. They all started smoking weed, and then they got to a point where they're laying on the floor going, but man, we'll turn them back into lizards. It'll be like cyclical, dude. Like, it's such a stoner perspective on this. It is so dumb. That how did it get through? Did someone read it and go, yeah, okay. Apparently, McNeil, who some of his acting in this is really bad too.
Yeah.
When he apparently read it, went like, "This is the most bizarre thing I've ever read." It is just an absolute travesty how you could get to a point where you've got this great section where core idea. We're going to try to go to Warp 10. We could get home instantaneously. This is all good stuff. But the moment he's in sickbay, this episode falls apart so quickly.
And how about that great piece by Kess, giving him that beautiful kiss?
Yeah,
as they thought he croaked.
Maybe that's I would have saved that for the next sections. Maybe
I would have. The only thing I think of was ew.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like, why would you kiss him? He's all like turned into gelatin.
I don't know if you've ever seen. I think it was National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, but there's a scene where Kathy Ireland gets shot, and she's laying on the ground, and she, Emilio Estevez is standing over her, and it's supposed to be this really, touching scene as she's dying, and all of a sudden she goes, and she coughs up all this blood, and it's like covering her face, and she looks at him and she goes, "Kiss me."
Yeah,
he just kind of, really?
Yeah.
He has to take out a wet wipe at one point. He's trying to clean off the spot. I don't know. Imagine the spot is like everywhere. That's that scene.
Yeah. I mean, come on, we got to talk about the fact that the next thing when he's in the sick bay is it goes instantly into Cronenberg territory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum's looking at this going, that Leonardo meme.
That looks familiar. Yes. This episode's bad. It must go faster. It must go faster.
The makeup is great.
Oh dear Lord.
And they won an Emmy for
hey,
the makeup.
you know what? Say what you will about this episode, but I actually found this smile to be genuinely creepy.
Yes, very creepy. It was very Renfield, right?
But
yeah,
they won an
Renfield.
Emmy. They won an Emmy for this episode for best.
They did. We have to refer to this as the Emmy winning episode Threshold.
Yes,
that blows my mind when I read that.
Yes,
that was unbelievable. But I mean, look, let's just keep going around, I reckon, guys, because I don't want to get. I think we're all going to agree what some of the worst bits are. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about some of the horrible things of this episode.
I mean, the whole pseudoscience behind what was not only happening with what was happening with Tom physically, because the belief is as the generations being born come into this world, we're born without some of the bits that we don't need. Like some children are being born without appendixes. Some children are being born without wisdom teeth. They never grow in because we don't need them anymore. So, I understand where they were coming from, the ideal of it, but it was just poorly executed.
So dumb, though, dude. So dumb that
acting.
What a rip-off job is humanity, though, because then you discover out this episode. So, man, we're spending all our time exploring, trying to enlighten ourselves, become a higher form of being, and we're going to end up being lizards.
Salamander,
amphibians, but yes.
Where the salamander slow slopping, it's like we're going backwards. Primordial goo.
Yeah.
It's just dumb idea. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
What about Robert McNeil? Like, come on, mate. Like, I like him. He's a good Tom Paris. I do, but he went full ham.
Yeah, I think he went to the Shatner school for this episode. I felt it was awful.
I wouldn't want to insult Shatner.
No, wow, that bad. Jason, seductive salamander, give us your.
Okay, so bad science, of course, as you've already mentioned. I took great umbrage with the fact that Star Trek is basically saying we're going to turn into amorous salamanders, in a few billion years. But did anyone else besides me realize that they made the entire concept of the show being lost in the Delta Quadrant? They solved that problem in this episode, and they never came back to fix it again. Because really, think about it. All you have to do is take Voyager to Warp 10, get home, and immediately put everybody under the anti-salamander ray. And you're done. That's all you need. You need starships that can go Warp 10 and an anti-salamander ray.
Yeah,
you're done. You can now go anywhere in the galaxy, anywhere in the universe, do anything you want, and it's all thanks to Neelix and his stupid Nebula story.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. Why wouldn't you just send a shuttle with a big sign in it? Even if you were worried about sending anybody, and it ends up back at Earth, and they open it and they go, "Wow, there's a sign here saying they're lost." All right,
exactly.
Get our stuff
send
together,
the doctor.
Yeah,
you could send the doc. I'm sorry, I keep having this notification that keeps popping up on my computer. That's why I keep clicking. Because it's telling me, hey, you've got it.
You're good.
Your charger's bad. And no, my charger's fine. You're just mad because I didn't buy an on-brand charger.
Your computer's mad that you're talking about this episode.
It is. It's mad that
alive or not.
I probably should not have streamed this episode on this computer. I've traumatized it. but yes, there's just so many This episode doesn't just have plot holes. This episode has plot canyons. It's just it's so bizarre, as you've said, and it's just every concept that is introduced just either goes nowhere and fizzles out, or it just opens a Pandora's box of idiocy, and it's never addressed again. Well,
Yeah,
it was addressed again, because they did reference it in Lower Decks, and I thought it was a great gag.
Yes.
Just saying, is this human? Oh, we think it might have been. Maybe somebody else tried to do Warp 10. I don't know.
Oh man.
But the
other thing
whole
was-
concept of taking Janeway, like capturing Janeway, in one of like the cheesiest kind of attacks I've ever seen on a captain, like. There you go.
I'm just gonna
He just
thrust
kinda-
my chest into you.
Yeah, he just like sumo bumped her down, and she's like, "Oh, this is so lame."
Yeah.
It is so bad.
And, but the other thing was there was some type of tension between them because she comes into his room to let him know that the doctor found some heart murmur that could be a problem for him during this experiment. So I thought, oh, there's something going on. Are they going to have like a relationship or whatever? Little did I know, they sure did.
Oh goodness!
Can we
Talk about
that
us.
scene too?
That scene
afterwards.
went nowhere.
This one here.
Yeah.
Oh,
This scene,
gosh.
how awkward is this scene between the pair of them? Where
Yeah. So we have
basically
babies.
he's trying to apologise. Look, hey, I'm sorry that we banged. And she's like, hey, how do you don't know? I initiated it. Like this
Why?
really almost edifice type of scenario because she's the captain, she's the mother figure. So I'm sitting there watching it going, did you just nail your space mum?
Yeah. Jeez.
No,
It's so wrong.
Oh
because of
man. She,
Janeway
you know what
was a
happened?
mom, though, and it's
was.
weird.
She's
It's
a
so
stepmom.
weird.
It's so
She-
awkward.
She got stuck in the dryer, and things turned into. got out of hand. Oh boy.
Yeah, I will say though, the makeup we have to give it a little pass. I suppose we should be moving on to
Yeah, exactly.
redeeming features.
Yeah.
It looks like gold. Tastes like gold.
It is gold.
Well,
Armin.
hopefully these little bits of info are gold, but I doubt it. The makeup, we got to give it to the makeup.
The makeup was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
It's-
that's for 90s makeup. That's pretty good makeup.
yeah.
Yeah. No CGI enhancements.
CGI.
That's all practical. You got to appreciate the art.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the
Even these
and the
little
salamanders.
salamanders. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. These little buggers here, they not too bad. Although it's clearly a dude in a suit, right? I mean,
I mean, at least we hope.
they don't even have any back
And the
legs.
fact that they stunned them was like,
Yeah.
all right, tap.
There's
Wait
our
a minute, hold on.
captain and our
How do you
pilot.
know?
That's
Are you
a
grabbing the
something.
right salamanders? One of the redeeming qualities to me, I'm going to start this one off, is, after the effects, is the Tuvok one-liners. Like, he had so many quips,
He did.
especially at the end. It was like, okay. They're kind of like, all right, it didn't go anywhere near what I was hoping. I thought they were just going to, like, catapult them or maybe write off Tom Paris. Maybe he had some bad contract negotiations. And he's like, you know what? I'm out. And they were like, oh, yeah? And just we can easily write you off at any moment type of thing. But I just really like Tuvok's lines. I thought he had the best lines in this episode. And
If
maybe-
anything, he's probably trying to be the audience going, like, yeah, look, even I know this scenario is shit. I got to kind of make it funny somehow. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
let me
ridiculous.
lighten the load here because this
Ugh.
is terrible.
And there's not much to this episode, really, is
No.
there? There's only, it's a very kind of quick episode. But I will stand by the core idea of this episode is a redeeming feature.
Yeah,
And that is, how can we tackle the subject of going to Warp 10? Something that I'd thought about, when I used to watch it as a kid.
Yeah.
I knew they couldn't get the Warp 10. Well, wonder if they could, what would happen? But yeah, it's just, that idea should have just stayed on the whiteboard. But the idea is solid.
So I have two redeeming features to this episode. This episode is pure garbage, but it has the best doctor scene ever. And that is the scene, I talked about it on the chat, where Tom Paris is asleep on the bay after the Warp 10 test.
Oh, no, that one.
And Janeway says, "Doctor, can you wake him?" And he goes, "I don't see why not." And he leans over and he goes, "Wake up, Mr. Paris!"
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I remember the first time I watched this episode in 1996 or whatever it was, I burst out laughing at that scene. Yeah. And my second pick is a weird one. But the shot of the shuttle leaving Voyager right before the test, I think is beautiful. Just the motion of Voyager and the ship leaving and the motion of the stars. And that is the CGI model. That shot, because I told you guys how to tell the difference, and I learned this from Junkball Media, is the lights underneath the shuttle bay. When they're lit up, it's the CGI model, and when they're dark, it's the physical model. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the fact that this the CGI model and the shuttle and the star field in the back just all merged together to make this really great shot that I thought showed everything was in motion, and I really enjoy that shot. I just kind of wish it was not in this episode.
This is the period too where they were really starting to nail all their special effects. This is
yes,
96,
they were.
The CGI is getting really good. We're getting far more cinematic type of looking.
But it's ironic though, because at the same time that we're getting all this great cinematography with television, your movies are taking a hit because they've got this same technology. So when you go to the movies, you're like, Voyager could do the same thing.
Oh yeah, I would say though, First Contact, and that's the year of First Contact. If you remember, 96.
Yeah,
was pretty spectacular from
it was,
and
yes.
Still, I would say holds up today.
Yes,
oh yeah,
very much so.
Yeah.
I don't think that they ever made the Enterprise E look more beautiful than they did in First Contact. I think those model shots were just outstanding, and the CGI,
the use of light in that as well.
the CGI models that they came up after that, they looked fine, but they just never caught the sheer beauty of that model, and it really disappointed me they didn't use it after that movie anymore.
Yeah, no matter what they do, they can never recreate that tactile type of texture that a model does. Just
right.
Can't.
But like I said, it's so strange because Voyager did it with their CGI model. Their CGI model was just outstanding, and it was better than the Enterprise E model they came out with 2 years later.
Yeah, the one in Insurrection was awful.
Yes, it looked like it was made out of
and
terrible.
And that's why I stand by my comment there, because what you've got at home, because of the CGI is advancing, why am I going to go to the movie theater? And I feel like that's what kind of was part of the crux of the end of the Next Generation cast's movie fray.
No, and we're kind of seeing that same problem today with pretty much everything, because Strange New Worlds and Discovery, they have special effects and spectacle that are just as good, if not better, than some of the movies that we see today.
Yeah,
100%. So what gets you into the cinema anymore? Yeah, big question.
I mean, now it's just a cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have any redeeming features, Cap? Did you say yours? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I had mine.
Oh, you had yours.
Yeah, it was two bucks comments.
Our redeeming features of this episode have nothing to do with the performances, have nothing to do with the script, have nothing to do with it taking, being classic style. It's an awful episode. Yeah. That's what I'm getting to.
I did forget the best redeeming feature of the episode, though.
Oh, here we go.
It ended.
Yes. It did end, yes.
Very abruptly, must I say.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Over.
It was kind of like it was over. Like, let's all forget that ever happened.
Yeah.
And we shall move on.
Yeah.
So, which we should do now, Captain, I reckon, because we've talked, and I don't know how much I want to talk about this episode any further. So I'm ready to move on to our next segment, which will dictate what we're watching next week.
Yes, this is where we spin the wheel of agony to decide what will be the next episode we watch. So it is at random. It is generated not by choice, but by happenstance and sheer luck alone.
Treachery, faith, and the Great River.
There we go.
I
Here
love
we are
that
at the
so
wheel.
much.
That was
is
amazing.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
Hold on. So what do we got up
the
there?
Wheel of Agony. What's
The Way to
dramatic,
Eden,
man?
2 nights and 2 days, 2 days and 2
Oh.
nights. The Magics of Magus 2. Ooh, an animated
Oh.
episode. Angel 1. Twisted. Prophet and Lace. Spock's brain. Oh no. These
we
are the
got some
Voyages.
awful
No.
ones.
The Infinite
yes,
Vulcan. Code of Honor. The Fight. Move Along Home. These are truly works
These are
of
The Way to
painful
Eden.
art.
These are the worst that we could come up with. So now that we've seen Threshold, and Threshold's already been removed from that.
The suspense
start
is
with
so
one.
painful. I hope it lasts.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. And again, look, it's completely random. None of us kind of can do anything about this. Whatever it lands on, guys, we got to watch it for the next show. You ready? Should we start the spinning process?
Can we be ready for this? Is there a way to be ready for this?
Spin
there's
the wheel,
not.
make the deal.
Here we go.
Wheel of Agony.
Now, we'll
Turn,
let the
turn,
wheels
turn.
spin.
Show us the episode that we must
burn.
And then I click the button again to stop it. So here we go. I'm going to 3, 2, 1.
Move
Here we
along.
go.
Oh, no.
Alan Moraine, come with me. Alan
Alan
Moraine,
Moraine,
you
count
will
2,
see.
3. Oh,
Alan
man.
Moraine, then 3 more. Alan Moraine, this episode's a bore.
This is going to be a tough one to have to rewatch.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually
poor.
watched this one
I
about a
already
year ago.
feel bad for Avery Brooks. Just my memories of this episode, just seeing the look on his
Look
face.
at his face. Yeah, I noticed that when I watched
Like,
it.
I am
was
an
rewatching it.
accomplished actor. What am I doing here?
I was
that
Hawk.
one is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that one was bad.
I
Oh.
was in Roots, damn it.
Yeah. He was? I don't remember.
Well, Roots, the next generation, but he was
Oh,
he was
okay.
there with
Yeah.
Kate Mulgrew and Tim Russ.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
There was a
wow.
few in there. Yeah, so
And LeVar Burton was in the original, so I
Yes.
guess it's a connection. All right, so the aftermath.
the aftermath.
Now, why don't you go back to your quarters? I'll be along shortly to say hello.
Everything
Oh,
is
Garrick.
so like threatening, but in a polite way with Garrick. I love.
Yes.
It's a great scene, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, the aftermath is, will you ever watch that episode again?
Nope.
Will there ever be a reason to watch Threshold ever again?
No.
I say yes.
Oh.
Because I think that
What
every
sense?
now and again you have to remind yourself what bad truly is so you don't become a snob. So everybody who's like, oh yes, that episode of Discovery was the worst ever, and you're like, oh no, watch Threshold.
But how many times have you seen Threshold? I reckon I've seen it 4 or 5 times in my life.
I've seen
4 or
it
5,
twice.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Twice,
Yes.
and only because I had to watch it to remember how bad it was. I was like,
But it's hard, isn't it, Star Trek? If you go start binging, you don't really want to skip episodes, do you?
right.
Like even season 1 of Next Generation, I don't skip episodes. If I'm going to watch it, I watch it all the way through.
Yeah, I do the same.
I'm
I
a
do the same.
completionist, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something we all have
it.
in common there. Yeah.
And of course, anytime there's a new fan, I'm always like, you need to come watch this one. Come on.
Oh, jeez.
And you
It's
convert.
great. It's about speed, and there's monsters. You'll love it.
Speed, monsters, and mayhem. Come on.
Which I think some speed was involved in the writing of this episode.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Definitely drugs are involved.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
There's chest
Oh, yes.
bumps too, guys. Chest bumps.
Oh yes, chest bumps. Yes.
I still cannot believe he got out of a writer's room. Like, it really looks like a bit of fan fiction, like a 15-year-old kid going to go, I'm going to write a Star Trek episode.
Well, I mean, you have to think about it
the
this
fact
way.
that this episode exists goes against all odds of logic and taste.
I mean,
Right.
you have to think about it this way. You've got to fill in 22 episodes a season back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
sometimes
think they were doing 26 episodes a
even
season
more.
back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So
Jason,
wow.
didn't you mention earlier in the show that you reckon this is the second worst Star Trek episode?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, I think it's the second worst because the first worst is truly it's a thing. It's just you watch it and you're speechless. There's no redeeming qualities to the episode that I think is the worst. And I will tell you right now, it's not Code of Honor.
Wow.
Wow.
Everybody thinks it's it's not Code
Whoa,
of Honor.
that's
Code
a
of
big
Honor is
micro.
probably number 3. But this one is just the one that I have in mind as the worst episode, which
Okay.
it is
Keep
on
it.
the it's on the wheel. If we come across it,
Ooh,
I'll let
don't
everybody
say.
know.
Yeah,
I won't say what it is, but
Tune
I
in
just remember
Say it when
to
we
find
watch
out.
I just
Yeah.
remember watching it thinking there is absolutely nothing about this episode that worked. It was a miscalculation from beginning to end. All the actors were out of character. It's like somebody threw up on garbage, set it on fire, and then a sumo took a dump on it. That's what I thought that
Wow.
episode was.
I think
Jeez.
our audience needs to appreciate the sacrifices we are making. We could have easily done the best of Star Trek. We could have just talked about our favourite shows. We could have done a show about ships, talk about how, this is our favourite ship or our favourite tech.
We could have watched Autopsies and it would have been better.
But
Salamander Autopsy.
We're going back and watching so much garbage and then trying to not only address and be honest that it's garbage, but then try and find redeeming features in it is tough.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to find out his worst episode because he's going to have to try it, at least to find 1 or 2 redeeming features.
And the next one, Alan Moran, Move Along Home. Oh.
My memory of it isn't as negative as, as I think most people's are. I know that seems awful. He's out of tune and it's silly. And even his body language, he reverts to a little skipping girl. But I don't know if I completely hate that episode. I'll have to rewatch it this week to see whether that still rings true.
I just remember watching it the first time thinking this is dumb, but that was I think the worst I had to say about it. This is dumb.
No, that
Yeah.
other
But
one
it's
was dumb.
it's Star Trek, so I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like offensively. It wasn't, as I like the term, catastrophically stupid as Threshold, but it was dumb.
Yeah. It was pointless as well. I mean,
Yes.
it didn't connect with the whole arc of the series.
No.
Yeah, and I think
you-
I have
you
so
had
much
lots of
reverence
those,
for that show that even their worst, maybe in my mind, subconsciously, I'm elevating it to a higher standard that it really is. just because
I
of
mean,
DS9.
DS9 was by far my favorite
Yeah.
Star Trek series of all time. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Unless you want to.
Yeah, no, that's about it. I think it's time to probably plug all our socials.
Yay! Social. Check me out at To Be Seen at Dis Dungeon. Coming soon at Captain Squadron. And at Spectrum Sanctorum for your Facebook, YouTube.
If you're not sure,
Twitter.
one of them is Joe or all of them.
You figure it out.
Fine.
That sounds like multiple personality disorder to me.
I may have a problem. I may be
man.
medicated. I may not be.
Yeah, you can find me at Pop Culture Spread and at CQ Jason on TikTok. Annie, we can find at Vulcan Diver. Annie was supposed to be on the show, but she got held up. We missed you, Annie.
Yeah, Annie, I hope you're okay. Hope you're okay,
Jason, you
Annie.
want to plug yourself?
Absolutely. Is that something appropriate to do, though, on video?
Anything goes on this show.
All
mate.
right. You can find me at jasongaston.net. I am also found at Jason Roy Gaston on TikTok and Instagram. And any other socials I have, you can find links to them on my personal website.
Cool. I'll have to
Awesome.
add the Instagram logo on there for you now.
There you go.
We're done.
All right, till next time, be well and be ready to watch some garbage.
Oh, God.
Always.